Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this video. I'm about to deliver to you in 10.5 minutes the best TED Talk of 2020 that was never given. I was slated to be on the TEDx circuit this year, but due to 2020, that did not happen. So what I want to talk about today is resilience, and I believe this is a really important idea worth spreading. So rather than wait for the theaters and audiences to open up again, I thought I would record this short video, my TED Talk for 2020, and share it with you. If you like it, if you think the idea is an idea worth spreading, please go ahead and spread it. Thank you very much and enjoy the video. 2020, right? I mean, what a year. When I think of 2020, only one word comes to mind, and that's adversity. Now, how do you explain why when some people are faced with adversity, some people always seem to be losing while other people seem to be winning in life? Some people always seem to be struggling while other people seem to be thriving. And some people always seem to get the promotions, the raises, the opportunities, while others don't. For a while I thought, well, maybe it's education. But we all know people who did pretty good in life who didn't finish school, like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg. And then I thought, well, maybe it's money. But then we all know billionaires who came from nothing, like Oprah Winfrey or Howard Schultz or Ralph Lauren. And by the way, we know from the facts that almost 90% of wealthy families lose all their wealth by the third generation. So if it's not education or money, what separates winning from losing? What if I told you the answer is simply a mindset? Now, let me explain. 2020 sucked for a lot of people and a lot of companies. But then some companies and people thrived. Companies like Unilever and Netflix and Amazon. Why? What makes some people and some companies absolutely bulletproof to adversity? I think the answer can be found in one word, and that is resilience. See, I've been thinking a lot about resilience over the last decade. I've been looking really closely at the science and the habits of resilient people. And what did I discover? Well, I discovered that we're all pretty much creatures of habit. We tend to eat the same foods, we go to work and do the same things, and we hang around and socialize with the same people. So the main idea that I want to share with you today is that resilience, or lack thereof, is simply a byproduct of the duplicative processes that we follow every day. Now, what does that mean? Well, think about it. What do we all want more of? We all want more health, money, and happiness. Now, that's what we spend a lot of our time and our energy investing in every day. Well, some of those investments are good, and others, not so much. But what does investing in resilience really look like? Now, just for a minute, I want you to imagine or picture in your mind's eye 4 legs of a table. What happens if you remove or shorten one of the legs? The table becomes unstable. Now, I want you to imagine for a second a kitchen table. Okay? And that kitchen table has 4 legs. And each one of those legs has a very unique name. The first name or leg is called physical. The second leg is mental. The third leg is personal. And the last leg is financial. Now, what I've learned about resilience and resilient people is that they all follow a similar pattern, something I call the VIP process. Now, the VIP process is kind of like a tablecloth that covers the entire table. VIP stands for vision, identity, and proof. Now let me explain. Not everybody has to be a great visionary, but resilient people do have visions they can believe in. Now, visions aren't carved in stone. And yes, you can have more than one, and every vision is going to be different. Now, your identity, well, that's simply made up of the duplicative processes that you follow every day. And then proof, well, your proof is simply reflecting on your daily, weekly, monthly duplicative processes and looking for the social proof that all 4 of those legs are remaining strong. Now, something else that I've learned is that resilient people who practice regular reflection don't get stuck repeating the same destructive duplicative processes. Now, let me share an example of how this duplicative process worked for me. When I think of physically, I have this vision that I'm going to be healthy and happy well into my 80s and probably still trying to do Ironmans. Why? Because I know 80-year-olds who are healthy and happy and do Ironmans. So I ask a question, why not me? How can I do that? Well, the way I do that is I invest in my identity of that person every day. I exercise and I sleep and I eat in a way that's going to serve that vision. And I look for the social proof that I'm actually making that progress. Now, something that most resilient people do is they keep a journal. This is my journal. And in my journal, at the end of every month, I track in a chart, just like you see here on the board, my physical, mental, personal, and financial progress, right? If I don't pay attention, one of those legs could fall apart. We don't want that. So when I think about mentally, my vision mentally is that I one day might be somebody who is as well known as a speaker as potentially Tony Robbins. But in order for that to happen, what do I have to do? I have to invest in my identity of that person, that vision. That means I have to write every day. That means I need to speak every day. That means I need to look at all the limiters in my life that might be holding me back and minimize them. Then when I think of my personal growth, I think my vision is that for the rest of my life, I will be a lifelong learner. I'll always be upskilling and trying to learn something new. So, what's the identity of a lifelong learner? Again, I just said it, I'm going to be upskilling. Am I learning something new every day? Am I putting myself out of my comfort zone to learn something new? And am I making good decisions? What's my decision-making process? Again, I go back to my journal and I look and see, am I doing the things, is my identity serving that vision? And then finally, when I think of financially, that leg, I think about what does my financial independence look like? What does that look like in my mind's eye? And then I ask myself, am I meeting my monthly income goals? Is my percentage of passive income now meeting that goal? Is my savings what it needs to be for me to reach that goal? You know, if you don't track these things, time flies by and you don't get a second kick at it. So, you know, you go to your bank account to see if this is actually happening. And you reflect on it daily, weekly, monthly, annually, so that years and decades don't scoot by, and before you know it, it's too late. Now, speaking of being a little bit too late, I want to share two examples with you. A good friend of mine, his father passed away 4 years ago, and he was a multimillionaire. My friend has more than that. So when I think of a wealthy family, his family comes to mind. And he pulled me aside at his dad's funeral. He said, you know, Dad, he says, you know, Dave, my dad spent a third of the amount of money he made over his entire lifetime paying for private health care to help him maintain his quality of life and standard of living as he was in his last 10 years of his life. Now, I don't know about you, but that is not what I am saving for retirement for, to pay for private health care. Let me show you another example. My father, who died at 74 from complications from dementia, well, you know, when I think of his personal resilience table, I look at this and I go, financially, you know, he had his savings and he had his pension. And physically, yeah, he exercised 2 or 3 times a week, but that wasn't every day. Mentally, you know, he had no real plan. He was just sort of flying by the seat of his pants. And then, you know, he liked to read, so I guess you could call that personal growth a little bit. But what he never really did was sit back and reflect, right? He didn't realize that maybe the way he exercised and ate, maybe that process was broken. And maybe the way he was mentally looking at how he was preparing his brain for the rest of his life, maybe that process was broken. And by the way, financially, just because he had a pension, you know, he started off in the last 4 years of his life at 70 in a nursing home. And he started off in a private room. And then as their savings were dwindling, he went into a semi-private room. And then when they were really getting into trouble, he went into a ward, which is where he spent the final year of his life. Not a pleasant place, I can tell anybody. I have made it my mission in life never to end up in a place like that if I can help it. And I can help it by paying attention, right? Being more resilient means paying attention to the recipe that I'm following every day. The problem was, these two gentlemen never looked at the reflection of all 4 legs of that table to to see if they were actually serving the identity, doing the things they needed to do every day to move forward and make progress towards where they really wanted to be, which was healthy and happy for the rest of their lives. They stopped paying attention to some of the legs, and when they did that, the whole thing tipped over. Now, I want to end this talk with my own personal vision. I have a vision that one day, every parent will be able to sit down at their kitchen table and have informed and intelligent conversations about diet, exercise, and mental health with their kids. So in turn, they'll learn to communicate and do the same thing with their kids. That's a duplicative process that I can stand behind and that I can believe in. And I believe that's where our next generation of great resilient leaders are going to come from. This is a message of resilience as a duplicative process. And I believe that's an idea worth sharing. So if you think this is an idea worth spreading, please like, comment, or share. Thank you very much for your time today, and have a very resilient 2021.